say thank you for being here today. My name is Richard Walker. I'm managing editor of Kitsap News Group, which includes the North Kitsap Herald. And again, I just really appreciate not only all of you for being here today on a wet, cool day, Veterans Day, but just to be here to support this bookstore, to support the work of writers. I want to thank Suzanne Droppert for hosting us today. She's of course the owner of this bookstore and one heck of a barista, I understand. So, and she's drinks today for everybody are $1 each, so discounted. I wanted to say that, and I want to thank Nancy Ricow for her help in putting this project together. I want to introduce her. Let's give her a hand. Appreciate your many years of stewardship and mentorship and support for this art of writing and what it does for the soul. And I also want to thank Ingemar Anderson for being here today. He's the publisher of this book, as well as other fine books, the owner and publisher of Kitsap Publishing Company. So thank you. He's here today with the vice president of Kitsap Publishing. What is your name?
Ben.
Ben, okay, good. Nice to meet you, Ben. All right, glad you're here. So the format here today is pretty simple. I was just going to make a brief introduction and thank all of you, and just mention real quick about how this project came to be, and then we'll just get into the reading of the poetry. I do want to say that I really believe in the power of poetry to cleanse and soothe, help us get the proper perspective on things, and I just want to mention that's kind of how this started. I was after Las Vegas. I think it was that night. I was lying in my front yard with my my dog, just looking up at the stars. I kind of pondering everything that had happened, and waving at my niece. All right, niece is fantastic. All right, and and I was just thinking, how do we make sense of what's happened? And I immediately thought of Nancy, and I thought, boy, this is a moment when we need poetry. Who else but poets could best write in a way that could not only soothe and comfort, but also help us to process this tragedy that had happened. Unfortunately, I after this came out, and it came out pretty quickly, I think within a week, this came out with the thought of all of the royalties from this book would go to the National Compassion Fund, which was established by Clark County, Nevada, the government, and also the National Center for Victims of Crime, I think it's called, because they needed a way to handle and make sure that the money that was going into Clark County for the victims and their families, that got to where it needed to go. They needed a way to account for and handle that. But I don't think any of us, and I think that this also tells about the importance of a book like this and the heartfelt feelings that came out in what was written. Who here would have thought that Texas would have happened? So deep down in my heart, when this book came to be, thanks to all of you here, I thought, wow, maybe this will be the last time we'll have to write something like this. And I just hope that's a hope that we can hold on to, is that we just continue to hope and pray and write that these awful tragedies will, not just here, but around the world, wherever there's gun violence, this senseless violence, that someday it will cease to be. Maybe if we all spend our time armed with pens and paper rather than with weapons of destruction. So anyway, again, thank you very much for participating in this project. And I thought the best way to start, because there were so many poets, maybe just go alphabetically, or if somebody wants to jump up and start, but I don't remember how let me see, I'll grab one of the books here.
You could just go by the table of contents.
There we go.
Yeah.
Michelle Bombardier is not here today, but would you like to read her poem for What Will We Tell Our Children After Las Vegas? Thank you very much, and introduce yourself.
I will. I'm Ann Fitz, and Michelle's a friend of mine, and she sent me a text and said that she was traveling, and could I read for her? So here I am. I won't tell you about myself till I stand up on my own, and but I can tell you that Michelle is a wonderful poet, but she is also a wonderful speech and language pathologist. She started with that, then she moved into poetry, and she's since gotten her MFA from Pacific University. And so this is hers. What will we tell our children after Las Vegas?
Could you speak a little louder?
Yes. Sometimes the grandmother is not a grandmother, but a wolf. Sometimes the woodman comes too late. Sometimes the wolf's hunger is so great. He eats his own heart, eats until he is nothing but teeth and snap and rip. Sometimes spur, bushy tail, and an open mouth smile means pup. Sometimes it doesn't. And you know what can happen. We can't protect you. Usually, the woodsman comes in time. Usually, the wolf passes the house.
Thank you. Kent Chadwick. Thank you, Kent.
So it's an honor to be here in the somber occasion. Think of a face you love. Trace its lineaments in your mind, the arch of her cheek, the curve of his brow, how the lips part for a smile, purse for a kiss. Recall the feelings you've seen play across the face you love. Times of surprise, moments of pain, instances of love. Looks given in love to you. Your face was love then. The face you face daily, its wrinkles and worries, all the imperfections you've cataloged, was loved as it was. Loved for the you within it. Blessed by that face you love. Remember when you saw the chin of that face you love on a stranger in a crowd? So similar, it surprised you, brought that face you love to mind. How the hair or eye is shared in other faces. The lineaments you've loved, common to many, arranged so variously, each face like others, yet uniquely itself, whole and blessed. For each face you see has been loved, as you've been loved, as you love that face you love. Everyone. Everyone.
Thank you. I want to add that this book, for a reason, has there are several blank pages in here. Every other page in the book is blank. We want to encourage all of you here to, perhaps spend some time and feel free to write your own thoughts in here that you might, as you may feel inspired. Is Jennifer Coates here?
No, she couldn't come.
She could not come. Would you like to read her
Sure.
poem for us? Thank you, Nancy. Joker's Court by Jennifer
Thank you.
Jenny Coates. Thank you.
Joker's Court. Shots ring out, nowhere to hide. Inside music turned to madness, harmony to dissonance. If I were crazy, I could assume the ensuing talk in Congress of silencers to enhance a gunman's experience was fake. A parody of government, macabre humor that bites the heart, so close to truth, but luckily untrue. And yet, the Joker's Court here, unlike Alice in Wonderland, is now real, and I am not yet crazy.
Kathy Quainen? Is she here? Kathy? Nancy, would you like to? You did such a great job.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Oh dear, where is that?
Page 9.
Right, I wasn't getting the page turned. No going back. The radiance of the harvest moon is harsh on our anguish, and there is no going back now. Yet I want to turn to earlier, before this full moon, before the tragedy, to change the rules, the program and layout, the broken window, to sit a while, watch the waxing moon grow fatter, engage with the shooter, and to chat, no, not chat, to listen, and then listen some more. Would I have heard?
Thank you. Marcia Cutting.
She is here.
She is here.
Very
Great.
much. Very much here.
Again, I wanted to point out too that one of the things I thought was so remarkable about this book was how quickly it came to be. The fact that all of this existed in these wonderful minds and hearts, and they were all able to articulate this so well. It's just a remarkable thing. So it's a real honor to work with all of you, and I learned a lot. Marcia?
Well, and apropos of that, I'm not reading from the book because I have been unable to resist the urge to keep revising.
Sure.
So this is slightly different than what's in the book.
Nice and loud, Martha.
Okay. 10 numbers. 3,500,000. Number of dollars donated by the NRA to current members of Congress. 3,668. Number of a bill in the House of Representatives that would reduce restrictions on silencers and armor-piercing ammunition. 1,226. Number of miles from Las Vegas to Bainbridge Island, a distance shattered by the pain of one bullet. 500. Approximate number of people injured in the Las Vegas shooting. 30. Approximate number of people said to have been guided to safety by a man shot in the neck while he helped them. He survived. 23. Number of guns the Las Vegas shooter had with him. 21. Number of years since Congress cut funding for the Centers for Disease Control by the same amount spent on researching gun violence as a public health issue. 3.5. Percentage by which the price of gun manufacturer Sturm Ruger's stock rose one day after the Las Vegas shooting. 3. The number of hours some people waited in line in Las Vegas to donate blood. 1. Percentage of people with serious mental illness who have used guns to kill strangers. This simply does not compute.
Thank you for that. John Davis?
He's
Good,
here.
thank you. Great.
Jamie Parks.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Oh, by John Davis.
Hi, I'm a school teacher up on the hill at North Kitsap, and I've been teaching for 40 years. And I've always felt a kinship with those that have dared to go into the field of teaching. And one of the victims of the terrible tragedy was a woman named Jenny Parks, who was a kindergarten teacher down in California. I believe she was a first-year teacher, a woman with all kinds of energy. And so that is what prompted this poem. Jenny Parks, kindergarten teacher. What were her words before the bullets entered her the way Hitler entered Prague and bled the city dry? In mid-song between the drums and gunshots and the singer's voice that twanged like a flange guitar in the Vegas night, what were the last words that Jenny spoke? Were they a fragment or complete sentence? And did her verbs soothe like a smile, one that would urge kindergartners to sit up, fold their hands into steeples, open and watch all the people? Please tell me, I am the substitute. She left no lesson plans. Her students are waiting for the announcements and the morning sing-along. Please tell me, Ms. Parks will not be at school today or tomorrow. Students will want me to tell them what she said. And how do I create a Jenny voice, one that rattled and laughed like rain on an aluminum roof?
Thank you for that. That was beautiful. All of these are beautiful poems. By all means, as you're introduced, feel free to take a few seconds to explain a little bit about your writing and how it came to be. Neil Doherty. Here he is. Good. All right. Neil, thank you.
How this came to be, I guess, through sheer disgust. This one is called Externality. Who knows the reason that Fred got a gun? Was it protection, or was it for fun? Did he foresee, I will hazard a guess, that he'd snap in that moment of marital stress? Gun in the cupboard and key in the door, 3-year-old Alice and 5-year-old Shaw, drawing and carefully taking his aim, playing, pretending. It's only a game. 3 people killed when a man runs amok. Muscular Christian conservative stock, blowing through clinic and shooting at will, deriding abortion and panning the pill. 14 more killed in the west of LA. And yet we will read in the paper today, guns do not kill. It's recited by rote. Kindly remember whenever you vote. 59 more now in Vegas, and yet NRA lackeys in Washington fret. Surely, they say, we dishonor this toll. Should we even mention gun rights and control? But 10-year-old Jason, Chicago's South Side, nobody asked him how he would decide. And nobody will now, for what it's worth. Shot in the street in a tussle for turf. Happiness, liberty, life are to be sacrosanct only to lesser degree, quite disregarding by setting our sights on never constraining gun ownership rights.
Thank you. Carol Fawcett. Pronounce your middle name for me.
Carol Despo Fawcett.
Despo. Okay,
I have
great.
2 last names.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And how my poems came to be. Well, first, thank you, Richard, for this project. It really helped me through the grieving process after this tragedy. And how my poems came to be is I was too wordless to write new poems, speechless. And I think sometimes language leaves us when we're in that place of pain and despair.
Louder.
Sorry. So what I did was I took 2 poems and rewrote them for the Vegas massacre. And I have, I'm publishing my book of poetry later this month, and if you want to bookmark later, hit me up for one. Okay, sorry. In the ambulance. She lies in deep grass under a tree of yellow cherries. Sweet air of hibiscus makes her sleepy. A canopy of faces, red lights paint the sky. Her heart stops. A stranger leans in, lips sweet and hopeful as yellow cherries. And the second poem reminds me when I'm in a place of, darkness after this event, I have to focus on the good things in my life, the positives. When the world is spinning, I remember these are my loves. Red wine, orange cats, the smell of clove cigarettes, Leonard Cohen's gravelly voice, words like sibilate and firefly and lovely and Valium, rain like pebbles on my sunroom roof, or hail the size of Easter eggs, church bells in the morning, cradling my guitar like a tired friend, leaning into corners on my motorcycle, an unquenchable thirst for love and laughter, a hunger that isn't hunger, but a life reaching back for itself. Singing too loudly, swimming in the ocean, warm water like lips sliding over my skin, the water in me searching for the water not in me, my body like sand consuming the tides. Thank you.
Beautiful, thank you. One thing I love about poetry is when I read something, it sends me to the dictionary.
Yeah.
I like. I wasn't familiar with the word sibilate, and I felt bad about that. I looked that up. And warm water like lips sliding over my skin. That's always a pleasant thought. Amy Genova.
Yeah.
Genova? Genova.
Genova.
Genova. Oh, yeah. Two beautiful short pieces, and
Oh, just one.
oh, there's one in here. Okay, but thank you very much.
A gamble of red, spilled spirits, soaring, opposite of the best.
Thank you. Bev Hansen. Great, thank you.
Tell them where you drove from.
All the way from North Bend by mountains there.
Wow, thank you very
Nice
much.
to be with you people.
Thank you.
I was very fortunate that I didn't remember that my daughter and her husband were in Las Vegas the day of the shooting. And so she called me up and said, "I'm okay, Mom." And I said, "What do you mean?" And I said, "Well, we were in Las Vegas and we were in the hotel where he was." And so that's what inspired this poem. And I call it The Ghost Man of Mandalay Bay because I'm going to honor him by giving him a name.
Louder.
Can you hear me back there?
You take a couple
Okay.
of steps forward, it really does make a difference.
Yeah.
Now can you hear me? Okay. All right, so I call this The Ghost Man of Mandalay Bay, and it's based on what really happened. On a mission of fun, my daughter and her husband checked in. On a mission of death, the ghost man checked in on the very same day. On floor 33, my daughter and her husband went to their room. Just below, on floor 32, the ghost man entered his room. On floor 33, my daughter and her husband peered out the window. They saw a festival of happy people. On floor 32, the ghost man peered out with the very same view. He saw a gathering of targets. At 5 p.m. on that awful day, my daughter and her husband left for the airport. At 5 p.m. on that awful day, the ghost man stayed to do what he meant to do. My daughter and her husband came home. The ghost man didn't go home, and neither did so very many. Why?
One of the poems in this book, it's actually presented as free verse, but it was I was in my newsroom office and reading some of the official responses to the shooting in Vegas, and I read Governor Jay Inslee's official response to the mass shooting, and took the liberty of presenting a portion of it here as free verse. It's untitled, but I thought that the last two stanzas of what he wrote were quite appropriate for this. Would somebody like the honor of reading for Governor Inslee? Okay. Thanks. All right. Once again, we are mourning the violent loss of innocent lives to a man who had access to weapons no civilian should have access to. It's impossible to know how to stop every act of gun violence, but I know with my whole being that our nation's leaders aren't even trying. Ann Kuntz. Great. Did I pronounce your name correctly?
You did.
Great, thank you.
Okay. So my brother lives in Las Vegas, and my son was at a concert, not in Las Vegas, but I thought he was there. So when I heard this whole thing, in the morning, I made this phone call on my way down to work, and I started crying because I was so relieved. But then I said, I'm so tired of this. And it didn't stop there. And when I told people I was coming up here to read today, some of them said, for Las Vegas. And it's because other things have happened since then, and it's just astounding that that this world is, what a world, what a world. An interesting thing, though, is that this was a 3-day concert, so there weren't very many Las Vegas scenes there, because they'd all gone home to work. To go to work the next day. So if you read them, and our dear Carrie Parsons was there. When is a water droplet home? When is a water droplet home? Pelting its beads onto agave's broad leaves to drip deep into acequa, to aquifer, to ocean. Each drop a ballet battement across shallow ponds to rise on point before settling. Or is a water droplet home rising in the desert sun, called to hazy blue sky, cirrus, cumulus, cumulonimbus, those giant flat-bottomed thunderheads? Where does a soul find home when bullets rain down into neon ocean of people once clapping, swaying waves of music, and now lying flat, trembling, a turbulent sea as bullets ping across the seats, ricochet through the terror? Where does a soul find home? In the restless aftermath, souls rise above the screams, leave long black bags of hurt and anger for loved ones and survivors to carry. Souls gather in thin lit wisps as we pick up prickly shards, as we begin to heal this desert home.
Thank you. Diane Lee Mosier. Thank you.
You could just leap over. I wish. I wish I could that. Well, I write because I have to. It helps me deal with life's events, and unfortunately the last year I've been doing a lot of writing. Thank you for making this possible for all of us. Message from Las Vegas. They rained from the sky, no address. Mixed messages from a mixed mind. Second Amendment opened the door. Insanity stepped through, held bodies in its hand. Now, our nation cries out for the innocent, the broken hearts, the future.
Nancy.
when Richard Walker first emailed me about this amazing project, thank you, Richard, he wanted me to publicize it to my big long mailing list, which is getting close to 200 people. So I emailed him back and I said, well, Richard, do the poems all have to be specifically about Las Vegas, or can they be related in theme? And luckily, he emailed back and said they can be related. They can have something to do with it. And the reason I asked was because years ago, I had written a poem about something that happened when I was quite young. And you're going to think I'm really old when I read this poem. But the poem is called That Afternoon the War Ended. And it's what happened, exactly what happened the afternoon when World War II ended, and my sisters and I reacted to that. We were so relieved. Anyway, that afternoon, the war ended. We picked every green tomato in the garden, dipped them in flour, fried them for supper, and nobody argued over the dishes. Hours we ran through the sprinkler, leaping like salmon to its wet circular hiss, shooting each other over and over with the hose, flopping on the grass, gasping, air heavy with mother's peonies. It was any summer night. There the Big Dipper hung. Up on the porch, dozens of papery moths blundered against the light and fell with no sound.
Beautiful. Thank you. Now, you shouldn't have said World War II because I was going to have a quiz. I bet people are going to say Gulf War. See?
I really debated that.
There you go. Is Allie Roman here?
Ellie Reed, she's a student of mine.
Yeah, you were going to read
Should
her?
read it, yeah.
Fantastic.
Off
Great.
again, this is the last time I promise.
No, great, thank you.
So Allie, I'm a teacher at Baybridge High School, and Allie Roman wrote this one. It was really a quick turnaround, so I didn't have a chance to look at if students submitted something, they just submitted them out of the blue. And she was the one of the 90 of my students who submitted something. I was really proud of her. So this is hers. She's in 10th grade. Silence that consumes everything. The world didn't seem to stop to me, even as my mother blared CNN from our living room on the 2nd of October. I couldn't feel feelings for hours. Nothing but numbness, while hours before hundreds felt confusion and fear. The world stopped turning for them, for the mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, brothers and sisters. It was a bang cut off by screams of concert goers that were heard throughout the streets of Sin City that night. The world continued that morning. It was with silence that consumes everything. Numb and still, my world continued to turn.
Be sure and tell her about the applause she got today.
I will.
And our appreciation for her contributions.
Yeah.
Tamara Rosa? Oh, great. Nice to meet you finally. Thank you.
Thank you so much for putting this together. It's been powerful. I too write because I have to, and find great healing through writing and sharing it with each other, and stuff like this where we get to look at each other and share the words, and the space is one of the only ways we can heal in a space where we don't know what to do. Yes, I will. A little nervous. All right. Fates are shuffling. Fates are shuffling like a deck of cards in a child's hands. Unlit matches stacked up against gasoline cans. I wish the moon a magnet strong enough to suck the bullets out. And I will speak to this one a little bit. As a mother, and I've been talking to so many, as a daughter, as a sister, as a human. Lately, normal, I don't want to be normal. I find myself looking for emergency exits. I stay a long time when I drop my kids off at school. I drive by the school. I do things I never used to do. And I don't regret it, but there was a day I did. Moments I thought, well, this is overreacting. It is not overreacting. And it's too common, and it's too scary. And one of the only things I can do is write, read, share. This is called I Say Goodbye Too Long. I say goodbye too long. I look them in the eyes and hold on. So tight, I break my heart bones. The what ifs are unbearable. What if they don't come home? There's a shooter in the classroom firing bullets into our babies. What if they're scorched, charcoaled into ashes by wildfire? What if they hang themselves in the school bathroom to prove a bully wrong or right? What if they take or slipped a bathroom cabinet pharmaceutical that gets them high forever? What if they go to hear their favorite singer with their favorite friends and they all get gunned down dancing? What if they don't come home? There is a shooter in the classroom firing bullets into our babies. I say goodbye too long. I look them in the eyes and hold on. So tight I break my heart bones. The what ifs are unbearable.
I hope everybody stays after the reading for a little bit. I'd love to get some autographs in my copy, and I'm sure all the writers will be here to do that. Sign some copies, and Sharon Svensson, is she here today with us?
I can read her poem.
Oh, please do. Thank you.
So she comes to my workshops.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. About my feet. Yes, they're called feet. Metric feet, the accents in lines of poetry. Lines of poems. Kaboom, kaboom is 2 iambic feet. Ta-ta-tum is 2 anapestic feet. May my feet walk toward mercy. May my feet walk toward peace. May my feet walk toward reason and truth. And may my feet kick away, in words, at anger, torture, murder. May my footprints overflow to a better world.
Beautiful. Is Val Tollefson here? Is there a Bainbridgeite here, a Bainbridge resident who would like to read the poem by the mayor of Bainbridge Island? Who didn't write it as the mayor of Bainbridge Island, but wanted to submit this. And as I understand, it's a poem.
Yeah.
Waxing Harvest Moon by Val Tollefson. Waxing Harvest Moon, blood red in a smoky sky, reflecting the lost. Diane Walker. Thank you.
I got on this list by accident because Nancy sent the note to Barry Peters, who had just moved away. So Barry sent it on to me because I'm sort of taking his place in the world.
That's fantastic. Great.
No titles for either of these. What choice have we when dealing with such horror and such grief, but to insist that we take steps to end this slaughter? And number 2. Echoes of gunshots shimmer above the desert. Warblers fall silent.
Jeff Wanker?
Yes.
Fantastic. All right.
Hi, I'm Jeff. So I got the email through Nancy, and I think I checked my email late at night when I was unable to sleep, as happens sometimes. And I just remember like feeling so just pissed off, you know? So like I just, I wrote this. It doesn't stay there. Sorry, I can't see anymore.
Read louder, too.
Yeah. Okay, it doesn't stay there. Scarlet pillows, seeping, hemorrhaging, spreading like a stain. Our great stain. Nothing removes. Lady Macbeth has nothing on us. In answer, any answer. Stoicism, acceptance of pain and suffering, wherever it happens, it doesn't stay there. If I could, while I was listening to everybody, I was just like, there were a lot of words that recurred, and so I just was kind of jotting some stuff down, and if I could just read what I wrote. Where does it start, healing through art? Overwhelmed by numbers, a God somewhere slumbers, our national wound, wounded again far too soon. Our collection of pain, bullets rain, accumulate, overflowing, no need to wait. What's one more bullet? The vessel's full. It leads one to wonder, what spell are we under? How the NRA, to our dismay, bribes those bought, shot after shot. Go on, guess. What ends this mess?
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. This is great. Yes, ma'am.
Did someone read mine, Kathy Cunin? I was late.
Yes.
Did someone read it?
We did, but would you like to read it?
I wouldn't mind, but.
Sure, come on
If
in.
you don't mind reading it. Well, longer, so now I'll make one here. On the page now. Oh, yeah, this here. Thank you. I wouldn't have missed this for anything, but I have Memorial.
Sure.
So.
That's right. Thank you. Well, thank you for being here.
Yeah. But most of you, it meant a lot to write after this, and we've moved on to the next one, but here we are with the old one.
Louder.
Oh, okay, you bet. No going back. The radiance of the harvest moon is harsh on our anguish, and there is no going back now. Yet I want to turn to earlier, before the full moon, before the tragedy, to change the rules, the program, the layout, the broken window, to sit a while, watch the waxing moon grow fatter, engage with the shooter, and to chat. No, not chat, to listen, and then listen some more. Would I have heard?
Thank you. Do you want to say some words in conclusion, or?
Well, thank you everybody who wrote a poem. This is such a touchy subject. They touched me right away when I got them from Richard, and I said, let's publish this. And thank you for coming here. Thank you for making this happen. I have one copy here. It says author signatures. If you want to give this around and just put your signature under the one, we keep it in our shop so people can look at it. We won't sell that poor version unless somebody wants to buy it, but it would just be up there with your signature if you want to reach it around. But thank you. It was such a pleasure to, and Richard, thank you for doing this.
Thank you. See, yeah, so everybody will sign that, and we're not going to see this on eBay, are we? You're going to keep that. Okay,
Right,
great.
I'm going to sell it.
Okay, great.
$5 million.
Thank you, and we do have future readings that will be planned. We have one at, well, Jeff or somebody was recommending that we do one at Eagle Harbor Books. That, of course, that's a great place. I think we,
And at the Paul's Bohemian
the Paul's
on
Bohemian.
December 2nd.
December 2nd, so I look forward to seeing you all there again. And thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah. Sorry.
Sign it?
Under your
I don't think they sent a pen around.